Acilia. Acilia was the only other um, female gladiator in the Cordia Coliseum during the time of the Dressrosa tournament to determine who would get the Flame fruit, a Fire Fist ace. She was one of two females, and then they had to fight each other in D block. You know, they kind of helped each other out a little bit, keeping like people off because they didn't want to be around that shit too much. They were just there to get the power of the Flame fruit, and knowing that if they won, they could probably defeat Doflamingo. That was their thinking. That was their, you know, mental, thinking on that. So then she, was there and she was like, okay, I'll help you out, Rebecca against Rolling Logan. Rolling Logan was, really rolling shit on them. They were like, oh, fuck, this guy's, over here, fucking people's days up. He's running around, grabbing people and throwing people and crushing. He ended up, dismissing Alicia, um, from the, tournament. And then Rebecca had to, avenge her too. But they had to have each other's back against this guy. So I'm like, Alicia, even though she's a female and she was better than the weaker combatant, but she is still, not the best. Yeah, she didn't show up again. I don't recall. She was just a Cordia D block Coliseum fighter, a contender for the Devil Fruits. Not a high contender though. So her strength's at 82% with her speed at 79%. 81 for the durability and 80 for endurance. 82 for the intelligence and 83 for experience. 83 for close skills and a 78 for her range skill. 79 for a recoup and then an 80 for her hacks. So overall power score for this girl is 80.7, right? And that's for Alicia. One of the, Coliseum members, but one of only two female gladiators in the Cordia Coliseum. Fighting to goddamn get out of Doflamingo's, get the fuck away from Doflamingo to, get the Devil Fruit and like dispose of him essentially. That's why they were in the tournament. They were like, that looks appetizing. We either one of us could win it and then defeat Doflamingo. But Be Cool calling on the corner. That's Alicia, one of the female gladiators. Block B. But Be Cool calling on the corner.